Okay, so for those of you setting up your development environment in the cloud, as I just recorded this video, we're now on to talking about how to set up that cloud environment. But there's one pre-step because I just watched this video that I did. It's a little bit, it's 21, but it still applies. But there is one little thing that I need to cover here as a pre-step. So in that repo that I had, the two repos that I had you create and this last one, right? The thing we created was this funky file called the gitignore file. So we're just going to quickly update that with VS Code. Now, if you're using the local environment and you're using some other editor, just make sure you do it appropriate for that. So in here, this pre-step I've given you is just clicked in here. And then what you can do is you can just select all that code, okay? And now that I have that, I'm actually going to move over to a tab where I have my student account set up. And I have this template one I showed you to create in that last video. So now I'm going to click into here. And now I'm actually going to edit this file. Okay, now here's the reason I think this is important to do now. Once you do this particular step, I would definitely tell you it makes your life easier to no longer edit any files in the GitHub interface. Like, kind of forget you can do this. Kind of get, that's not funny, Rio. Okay, so I'm going to edit this file and all of these things I'm just going to select here. Sorry, I'm just going to select here. Edit the file. Okay, I was thinking I had to, anyway, I just paste it over. So I did a select all and then I just paste it over. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to do, and you're going to learn this process fairly soon, but for now you can just commit these changes. So I'm going to do it to both my public and my private repos that I just created. Okay, so let's just go look at that now. So let's just make sure, yeah, that looks good. And if I wanted to, I could just copy this because I'm going to do it again for the public one. Okay, so I come in here, I click into here, I find that edit, the little pen. I select all this again, and I just paste it in and do the standard commits. Okay, so you'll see the benefit of this as we move forward. And I'll be quite frank, I'm not completely sure we need this for the cloud environment, but it's good to know that there's this file you can set up called the gitignore. And what this tells Git is, hey, anything that is within this pattern of files, just don't track them. It's not important for our code. Okay, so it's kind of once and done and you can forget it. All right, so let's go back now to here, right? So we've done the pre-step. So I've talked about already what is Gitpod.io, but just to be a little more specific, it actually is a website that's a service, and I'm just clicking into there now. And you can read more about it, but it basically uses a container concept. And container concept is a way to virtualize machines out on the cloud or even locally. I've done this, like if I wanted to virtualize running Windows on my Mac, but this is a server-based cloud container area, and that's what Gitpod uses. So it's basically like you're going to have your own little slice of a machine out on Gitpod for you to do your development, which is, I think, awesome. And again, there are other websites that do something like this, but I've found this one to be the most user-friendly, and I love that it's free. The other one I wanted to use was Codespaces by GitHub itself, but it costs money, and I like free, and I suspect you like free. Okay, so we're logged into, and what I'm about to do may look just a little different when you do it, okay? Because again, I'm logged into my GitHub out, and you're in the organization, you've created your two repos, your public and your private. Make sure you've done that before you do this next step. And now what we're going to do is on Gitpod, we're actually going to continue logging into Gitpod using GitHub. Now, I'm sure you could use, if you use one of these other accounts, but it's just easier because we're just going to basically use that account we already have. And that way it can see our repos. Okay. So I'm going to go in here, continue with Git pod or with GitHub login. And so what I have to do here, and again, this may look a little different to you, okay? Because I've had to sign in and do this, but you're basically just authorizing um, Gitpod to look at your GitHub information. So we're going to authorize, okay, Gitpod to GitHub. And you just, and in this case, if, it's redirecting me over here, and I'm going to say, yep, public and private, that's good. I'm going to authorize them to use my 93. Now, you don't have to worry too much about this because I've already done it as an organization. You just have to allow this particular step. Good. So that hopefully is what you needed to do. Is just authorize it, allow it to set up that authorization, and then you're good to go. And by the way, once this class is done, you can totally get rid of any of this. So now that we're here, now we're going to set up the workspace, okay? And there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can actually create a new one, but they give you a nice, simple way to do this. And I think it's worth using, which is basically this, is prefix any GitHub URL with this. And I'm just going to copy it. It's hard to see, I know that. But let me show you how we're going to do this. So I'm going to come back to this tab, setting over here. I'm going to click in. Let's do my private first. Don't think it really matters, and actually it might because I think it's already authorized, but I'm going to move my cursor, if you can see this, into, there we go. Okay, I just want you to be able to see kind of what I'm doing here. So I'm going to move my cursor here. I'm going to paste. Well, I'm going to try to paste. There we go. So let's see. I think I needed the whole thing. Okay. So let's see. Let's see if I got it right. Because this process is just, if you get it right, is so simple. Let's see. I'm looking at the one it had before, and this one looks right. So let's see if by hitting enter here, what it should do. Oh, of course. Okay, let me try that again. Let me go back here. Go back here. This is the nature of learning things. Sometimes it's just that, let's say maybe it wasn't that. No, I think it was. No, I think it was that. Let's see. Page not found. Of course. Hold on.